Hi, and welcome to the first tentative tutorial. My name is Sylvester Hansen, and what you're seeing right now on the screen is actually the final product of what I will be creating for you today. I named this title the tentative tutorial because I feel like this is as much a product for me as it is for you, and in that it's a tentative tutorial. So what you're seeing now is me trying or starting out in Photoshop. What I've done prior to this is done a series of thumbnails to just sort of get the ball rolling and trying out some stuff. What I was going for here, what I was drawing, is actually sort of a floating house. It's for a small gaming project I'm doing currently, which is very small, and I'm hoping that you'll hear more about that soon. So I can start off by talking a little bit about myself. My name is Sylvester, and I am a game design hopeful. Currently, I'm not currently doing much of anything really, but I just finished my education from the design school of Kolding, Denmark. I studied interactive design or interaction design, which is a very fancy way of saying nobody really knows what that is. Um, it was actually a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed studying. And I will say to anybody who's questioning the merits of college that, in my experience, it was actually one of the best experiences that I believe anyone could ever have. So I strongly encourage that. I started drawing actually when I started school. I had been very fond of the idea of being good at drawing up until that point. I'd been very fond of the idea that you could be very classically talented at drawing. And I did actually at the time have an aunt who was an artist and who was very encouraging when it came to the drawing part of me. But I just never really took it seriously, partly because I had this idea that drawing was this magical thing that only a select group of very talented people were able to do. So what happened was I started at the design school and I was given the assignment that I had to do 100 drawings for a semester. I was supposed to hand in this notebook at the end of the semester. Now, this was my first semester at the school in which we actually had what you're seeing now, which is a lot of classical drawing, a lot of construction, a lot of perspective, and I would love to say that I just picked it up right off the bat, but sadly that is not the case. What you see right now before you is actually the product of 5 years of intense drawing training. And to any of you out there who actually draw, I will be honest and say that I've been focusing the 5 years up to this point mostly on figure drawing and portraiture. Um, and it was only roughly a year ago that I decided, you know what, perspective might be something that's good to learn. Um, Again, one of the reasons that I named this tentative tutorials is actually the fact that I don't think that I'm all that good at drawing. Like, I'm not bad at drawing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not one of those people who are like, oh no, so poor me, I'm so bad. It's more of a, I just don't find what I do very good by comparison. And I think that this is a very common problem for artists or really anybody going into an artistic field, that there's always modes of comparison and you're always going to falter by comparison. Um, so yeah, um, I yeah, I've been doing this for 5 years now, and I really enjoy drawing. But I have to be honest that my main passion is actually the design of games, um, more so the narrative part of the experience. I have a true passion for a well-constructed story and what that means. But I have found through school mostly that if you are not able to communicate that story, and that's usually through a visual medium, in my case, drawing, you're not really worth much in terms of, well, communication, in terms of getting your story out there. So that's not the reason that I started drawing, but definitely one of the reasons that I continue to do so today. Um, Now, what you see before you right now, you can see I've actually gotten quite far into the construction of this drawing. What I'm drawing, as I said, the idea was a floating house. it is for a smallish gaming project that I don't really know if it's going anywhere, but I'm just trying stuff out at this point. I think that's one of the really great things about drawing is you can just sort of try stuff out. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't, and you've not really wasted anybody's time. Ooh, this one is fun actually. Right now, I am doing a decorative piece on the building. What if what you see here before you is actually me trying to make some Art Deco or Art Nouveau probably illustrations and failing miserably. This is I have a huge admiration for Art Nouveau, but I've just never been really great at it. Art Deco is more my thing because I find it a little bit easier, a little bit more simple. So what I'm doing now, so one of my ideas here was to sort of make the house seem a little bit ornate, sort of in the style of Bioshock Infinite, but with a little bit of the original Bioshock in there. This is something that I've since hence, in terms of this project at least, sort of abandoned, but for now it kind of works out, I think. It worked out in the context of this piece. So what you see here is I'm actually adding some decorative elements to the house, trying to make it a little bit more, I don't know, fun or festive in some way. You can see I actually keep doing this for quite a while, trying to add some details to it, and a lot of them don't make it into the final cut. Something I will talk about later when I show you the picture from before again. Um, so yeah, one of the reasons that I actually named this Tentative Tutorials is well, there are several reasons as you can probably hear, but one of the other reasons was, in fact, that I feel like something like what I'm showing you right now is as much for you as it is for me. And this is not in an artistic, I'm doing art for myself, this is really a reflection for who I am. It's more of a sportsmanship thing. You know how they will or might record somebody's performance in any sporting event. I'm not a big sports fan, as you can probably hear. For the player to evaluate their own performance. Well, that's sort of what I want to do here. I have found that I have a hard time progressing unless I have a very good handle on what I do, when I do it, and how I do it. And lately, well, I've been working for a year, as I mentioned, on perspective drawing, and I've found that I'm not progressing at the speed that I want to. So one of the ways that I thought might be fun for both me and you, the listener, if you are in fact out there, would be for me to actually share the process so that I might get better and you might get better by association. Well, that's the thought at least. What you see here is actually, it's one of those things where I'm not certain that I like it or not. It's this sort of odd dual wing, or really this wing pattern that's on the roof of this floating hut. So, so what you see is it's odd. It's much of this is just tacked on there for no particular reason other than I felt like the composition was a bit bare. I felt like the building didn't seem like a building that somebody would live in, and I mean a lot of what you're seeing now is really just me testing the waters. Um, and I am going to be honest, going forward, a lot of what you're going to see from me, I hope to do 2 of these a week, the tentative tutorials, and a lot of what you're going to see from me is probably going to be a lot of testing out the waters, just trying shit out, seeing if it works. Um, but really, isn't that life? So, yeah. Um, I can talk to you a little bit about where I hope to go with this tutorial series. I'm hoping that I will be able to show you a couple of different techniques that I've picked up. Mostly I've picked things up on my own. I'm mostly self-taught. As I mentioned, I have gone to school, I have learned some things there, but in terms of art and drawing, that hasn't really been a lot. I went to a design school, so a lot of the a rather progressive design school, I might add. So a lot of what we did there was product oriented or process oriented or being able to pinpoint our own best creative sides. A lot of these sorts of experiences I have under my belt, but in terms of drawing, as you see before you. I'm mostly self-taught. I mostly went about this because I felt like it was, well, A, it was fun, and B, I felt like it was actually something that I needed to be able to do. So yeah, what you see now is almost the finished product. You see I'm actually adding a little bit more of that Art Deco, Art Nouveau finish. Um, and yeah, so this was more or less what I ended up with when I started coloring in, or really black and whiting in. So what you see here is the finished product. A lot of what I did here was simply just add some gray paints, trying to make it a little bit more accessible, make it pop a little bit more. I added not a lot of a background, but enough of a background that there is one. So yeah, this is what you're actually seeing. This was my process. I feel like I have rambled on for quite long enough. Um, Again, this is the first video. I hope to learn more about making these videos in the future, and I hope you will stick around for that journey. So thank you, and goodbye.